obviously, it could also mean they come back with more confidence in a way after good scrimming, and they've been watching replays, and they're kind of ready now to get some revenge on everyone, and it could hurt Fnatic quite a bit.
Oh, there's a big ban in my mind, and that is the Braum coming out. Hybrid has done so much work on that Braum. Get it off the table early.
Yeah, another big ban in my mind. I know yours as well, Stress, is that Gragas. He's taken off the board, won't be available in that jungle pool right now. So the first game today, we don't see him.
It does mean Nidalee is open, and I think if she's left open here with the last few bans, it has to be first pick, because that is Trick's main jungle pick, and it's such a good pick right now. Like, G2 is built around these strong pushing lanes that allows Trick to invade into the enemy jungle and apply pressure and try and 1v1. So G2 has to make a decision now. Do we want to leave more OPs up than we can maybe trade for Nidalee? Or do we want to just ban it away and not risk Spirit playing it?
And the other interesting question is here, where does this leave Fnatic? Do they get kind of drawn into this cog more, especially with this Kalista ban now? Do they go for that composition?
They have to go Nidalee here.
That's what I was going to say. It's either they take the cog and give the Nidalee, or G2 then just play early game around that cog.
They are giving Lucian over to G2 if that is the trade they want to make, saying we ban Kalista, so we get the second best AD carry in Lucian as a trade for you getting Nidalee, because it was very obvious Nidalee would be the first pick. Fnatic were trying to ban out picks they didn't want G2 to take in the first rotation on red side, so the Braum as one of them, Poppy, like a lot of these very, very top tier picks, because they had in mind we have the specific first pick, we know we're going to take it no matter what, and we don't want to give it too much. But they get Lucian for G2, Emperor can be happy.
And they also pick up what is very likely to be Kikis lane. Very early on in the draft for G2, very rarely do they do this. Normally they give Kikis a little bit more time in the draft. I wonder whether they're looking at what Fnatic are building here. Maybe looking to pick something a little bit more damage focused out of the jungle, perhaps a Kindred. The Elise is always an option though.
It's also because Gamsu played the Nautilus last week in his games. He had the ZZ Rod game specifically, a good strategy coming in from Fnatic. Kikis and a lot of other top laners will probably be playing a lot more Nautilus, Malphite, and these big tanks, because some of the tank items were buffed a little bit, and just hard engage is just super strong against a lot of these low mobility control mages, and of course some of their hyper carries. Here we're seeing one of them.
Point and click CC, you'll see if it's able to shut down that pick. If it's locked, it is. We have a Kog'Maw again. This time it will fall into Reckless's hands, and he'll have an Alistar to back him up too.
I'm still not super sold on the Kog'Maw. We have seen it be successful in one game. We know it's strong. Like, as a pick individually, it is really, really strong after the buffs on 6.3. I feel though, like it should be able to be exploited with a good composition that can fight in the early game and really force that Kog'Maw into bad situations. You should be able to play around it, but they have got an Alistar now for Peel. Will they build anything else? Maybe we'll see something the likes of the Morgana. We have seen it mid already today.
True, it's a good blind pick.
And it also is going to be able to stop a Trick going into the enemy jungle. If you have a wave clear jungler, prevents them pushing out into you, you can deny Trick's ability to counter gank.
Yes, indeed. We have a Rumble locked in as well. We did see that in Korea in the jungle. It's been banned out today already. If it comes in again this time, or if it comes in this time, we'll go into Trick's hands. Seems very likely at this point.
Yeah, he's kind of jungler. Very farm-focused player. You have great...
What high impact.
Yeah, sure. Again, you have great jungle clear, and then you have a lot of impact in team fights. That's what Trick has been doing really well. And you pressure lanes more than you gank lanes. And that's where Rumble fits in very nicely. I still think for G2, like, they tunneled very hard on this Nautilus pick.
Yeah.
And saying, like, we are trying to get not only a pick from Gamsu, but also a counter to what Reckless is going to play.
Yes.
And that's, like, why they picked it so early, even though they sacrificed, like, an Alistar pick as well.
But then Rumble also does a very similar thing. It's all about stopping Kog'Maw from standing still. Yeah. As soon as you make him move, as soon as you've got a zoning over an area, you make him move, his DPS drops off the floor. The problem is, how else does he stay alive in this? Well, they've got a good amount of engage here in protection.
Add in the Trundle support. You know, Alistar's off the table. Braum was banned. Trundle is going to do exactly the same. Put a pillar in the face of Reckless and force him to move around. Like, that's literally everything G2 is drafting is a composition to try and kill Reckless.
We've seen this backfire once today already, though. Splice had almost the same thing in their draft, and the early game just completely took the floor away from that. They couldn't fight enough early game. They couldn't get the engages. G2 could be falling into the same situation.
They could indeed, but they will lock the Arya as that last pick for Perkz. It has been one of his more favorite assassin champions, and we know he went on the Corki, he went on the Victory, he definitely made some big plays on that, but going back to what for him is basics, really, and see if he can get some solid picks on that Kog'Maw this game. He'll have his eye open for him.
Yeah, Fnatic's composition here, we didn't talk too much about it. Top lane, another tank. We talked about how tanks are very, very good right now. Good teleport engages coming from a Maokai, especially after level after minute 20 with the home guards. I wonder if he's still going to build CZ Rod, and we're going to have that tank fight with both building the same item, and they're trying to be a split pushing threat. But also, Febiven is going to be the back line here. He's going to be the guy to single out Emperor, and therefore only have like Perkz and Trick as the guys dealing damage to Reckless, which means in the late game, Reckless with his defensive items like Stair's Gauge and Morph and Mortis will be able to survive that, and then just stand still and go crazy.
Yep, and that is going to be it as the coaches shake hands. With the lineups all locked in, it's time for the reigning champs to face off against the league leaders new on the block.
They seem to synergize really well together. Everyone trusts each other. Very aggressive. We are aggressive together.
Hybrid has flashed over the wall. Winter's Bite connects, and everybody's invited to the party.
Everyone knows what to do. Are really coordinated. This guy can obviously carry.
Chaos storms down. Perkz wants it. Add that KDA, baby. 3 for none.
Here I am in Fnatic.
Live. Welcome to the LCS. That's the first blood going over to you.
I don't think he's that much better than Noxiac.
We should win versus them for sure.
I don't think their teamwork is that good compared to ours.
This week we'll show them who's the real boss.
Here they are, onto the Rift. Trick, this time, seeing if he can pull any tricks out.
The real boss for now. The Rumble in the
Galaxy
jungle.
Rumble.
Still the same problem, nobody picking their Rumble in the jungle skin.
I'll wait till they get a little bit more used to it, but I'm curious to see how he performs. Trick has had so many massive impact games as Febiven takes a little bit of damage early on against Perkz Azari in the mid lane.
And we heard the Fnatic players in that feature coming in talk a lot about what G2 does so well. The coordination in skirmishes, trusting each other, being very aggressive in the way they play.
I just want to draw people's eyes down to Cull on Reckless
We're gonna
as
farm.
a starting item. So Cull was changed on the patch previous to this. It now gives a little bit of extra gold when you replenish it. But for those of you that don't know what it is, you farm up to 100 on it. It gives you an extra
Cash
boost of gold, and then you sell it off. It's almost useless after it's cashed out.
And it's an item where you don't want to opt into a 2v2 lane.
Yes.
So Fnatic is now putting so much focus on getting a lane swap. G2 has now recalled with Emperor and Hybrid, and they're walking to top side. They're gonna find Fnatic.
And at this point,
they're baiting it Fnatic. Look at this. They're sending Gamsa where they know a ward is to be like, oh, look, I'm top lane. I'm top lane. I walk near your ward. And then he instantly walks back. Problem is G2 is already committed to the top side. So they're here as well. They are now gonna spot each other.
And at this point, you have to feel Fnatic are going, man, we didn't manage to bluff this well enough, because the problem with Cull is the combat stats just aren't there. The same as Doran's Blade, where Doran's Blade, you have a little bit of extra tankiness when you're looking to trade, that extra health, also the ability to get some health back off the minions. Just adds up over time, whereas Cull is an item where you want to sit back and do nothing until you reach 100 minions.
I like what a lot of their AD carries are doing in Korea and in China with Cull. They don't start it because it's too risky. You lose 80 HP for not having that Dawn's Blade, but you can get it in on your first or second back if you know you're opting into an empty lane where you can sit and farm. I prefer that a lot more than starting the item, because I feel like Reckless now is going to be a lot weaker than normal.
Yeah, we actually saw Holy Phoenix and EU Challenger do that this week as well. So it has been starting to creep into Europe.
Yeah. Reckless on this COG, I am a little bit concerned for him. He's not exactly had a banner year, and he's always been playing a very safe champion. We've seen him on Ezreal, we've seen him on Lucian, we've seen him on champions that can usually bail themselves out of a bad situation. He's going to rely very heavily on Client. You know, we've heard from him saying they had a little bit more synergy clicking earlier on. They're going to need it this game. Yeah. Against Emperor.
Not a whole lot you can do. I mean, synergy in this case, press heal, thank you. And that's about it for now.
Still counts.
Still yeah, it does. I agree with you 100%. But
in this lane, it also goes to, does anybody walk up to me? Get them away.
Yeah, please.
Don't let them touch me.
Just push them away. Like, I just want to farm. I want to farm. But what's going to happen now, Perkz is able to have to push in mid lane at level 1 and 2 and 3. That means Trick can actually get into the enemy jungle. He likes to play this way. Very often focus around deep vision, tracking the enemy jungler while power farming. That's why Rumble is a pick that can fit him really, really well.
This is pretty big as well, because you saw Kikis come up through the bottom side, Trick was on the top. It meant that Spirit had to leave his red for now. It's going to slow him down. It's not the biggest of impacts because he will get it eventually, but still, it means that Trick is already stamping some kind of authority in the jungle matchup.
I just want to talk about Febiven's pick now, because we talked about how Perkz are pushing the lane. I think Lissandra is a very good pick against G2. Not only is it a pick that can really punish people for overextending, you can also run teleport. That means you have double TP, which is what G2 are very known for disrespecting and opting into teamfights anyway, despite risking getting flanked. And the third thing it offers is once you get 3 ranks in your queue, you can actually push the wave really effectively. And pushing the wave against Perkz is so key. If you force him to be passive, he doesn't get to make the big play. And also it stops Trick from playing very aggressive in his jungle, pathing in towards the enemy jungle. So I like this pick from Febiven, and I want to see him get more lane control with a few levels, and then punish G2 if they overextend with double TP.
All right, definitely shows Fnatic have done their homework for this matchup. Those are the 2 most potent weapons on G2's arsenal, in all honesty. Trick has just had such an incredible performance across a variety of aggressive junglers, while still completely clearing out his jungle every single time. He always finishes off the food on his plate. But there have been some weaknesses. If Emperor gets caught out like he did last week, if the team doesn't come together and they can make use of those double teleports on the side of Fnatic, this mid-game, Slater game as well, could be really rough as Cly goes in, gets the knockback onto Emperor, Exhaust is down, Spirit comes out of nowhere, gets the hop on, the Kitty's trying to take him out, not quite enough damage yet as the teleport's coming in, Spirit just one, first blood, goes to Hybrid, and Emperor is
knock him in the head.
running out, he manages to get away, no, Reckless is caught, burn the flash, but it's comes Trick, 2 for none so far, and they keep on moving. Cly now is on the run, he's going down, one more knock-up, and that is gonna be Burnt Cow.
Oh my goodness, for Fnatic, they start with Carl in lane. You don't want to fight. They get the flash engage from Clyde to begin with, but the follow-up there, you can see how quickly G2 are moving across the map. You have the teleport on Kickers, gets into the fight. Trick was already on the top side, is able to join the fight. Fnatic, what they've bought and what they're doing don't mesh hand in hand. They've got dragged into this 2v2, and this has gone disastrous for them in the beginning.
Well, this was their way to kind of get back in the game despite being in a 2v2. You engage on Emperor, and you have Nidalee with an early game burst, and you just instant kill him, and then you move. Like, then you're done. That's it. So you chase here, you're supposed to then try and instant one-shot Emperor. Instead, he doesn't go down. I didn't even get to see where Spirit used his Q. Emperor survives, and that gives time now for the counter gank and Perkz. He's on.
Oh, very low.
He
And
got
he's
it!
down.
He got the kill with an
Flashed
auto!
over. And he's still on an escape path. Let's see if he can get out of here. That turret doing a little extra damage to him, but man, what a start for G2.
Febiven should block him here, but he can see Hybrids coming across as well. Actually, Febiven got deterred. Perkz is out of this. There's nobody to stop him. This has gone so well for G2 this early on, and while this isn't really the result of the Kog'Maw being picked in this setup, the way this game has played out early on makes a Kog'Maw composition very difficult to play now, because you're now behind the curve. For the entirety of this next 10 minutes, you somehow have to get Reckless a lot of farm without him being pressured. And one thing we didn't speak of too much yet, the difference between this kind of comp from G2 and the one we saw earlier from Splice is Trick is also a major damage threat now. On this rumble in the jungle, it's not only just the mid laner and AD carry, that's a serious threat that's going to come in that equalizer.
In many ways, it's like the Graves pick. We've seen him play quite a bit, just physical damage, now magic damage from the rumble. Very AoE focused in these fights here, strong team fighting. I just went back and let's talk about it after, because Febiven, he's getting ganked.
Yeah, he is. That point and click CC, the charm does not connect as Febiven throws down the Frozen 2, but the Orbit Deception takes a huge chunk of damage out of him as Kikis tanks the line. Perkz looking to go in, doesn't quite have the spell rotation yet, but there it goes, the auto attack, and Perkz will finish it, followed in by Gamsu under tower, and he gets revenge for his mid laner.
But they might be trading in the mid lane. Down bottom lane, G2 are now pushing with this very strong Lucian. There's nothing Reckless and Cly can do against Emperor and Hybrid, especially not after that failed gank. So yes, you can go even in mid, but you're losing elsewhere on the map, and G2 are just getting absolute everything. I went even back and looked at that Spirit gank. He didn't manage to connect his spear, so he didn't apply the passive. That meant he had no real burst damage onto Emperor. He just top heal, stayed alive. That was enough time for G2 to then react. And that was such a big play for G2. Now they're going for Reckless.
Uh-oh,
the best equalizer.
Do not go, and Reckless is caught with nowhere to go. Emperor with another kill.
Look at the levels alone coming into this. Everybody down the list, level 6, level 7. Even Hybrid is level 5 right now. Reckless still level 4. He's been unable to do anything. Hasn't even been able to farm in the last few minutes. Only at 44 CS. Another key thing here, as this matchup is starting to very heavily go in favor of G2, they're preempting the composition setbacks from Fnatic. The magic resist almost all the way down the line here. And that's the key thing about this Kog'Maw as an AD carry, as a marksman, is yes, you will build AD later, but your starting item is the mixed item of Guinsoo's.
Yeah.
It will do magic damage as well. There's going to be a point that when Reckless gets towards building that, he'll just be sitting on a blasting wand and a pickaxe.
Yes.
The MR's already started to be built.
And you need 1,000 gold to upgrade that into the Rage Blade. So not only are you falling behind, your first item, build path, sucks for you, honestly, in many ways. Once you complete the item, that's not even your big spike. So you need so much time. Like, G2 has a lane where they know they can fight all the time.
Yeah, compound that with the fact that you look at Fnatic's team composition the rest of the way through, there is no AD except for Maokai. Maybe a little Alistar.
You mean like his auto attacks and Maokai auto attack and that's it?
That's what I'm talking about. There's really nothing there. When you pick an
Banking
AP jungler and Febvin on the Lissandra, I mean, it makes perfect sense for G2, and they're so far out in the lead. 3,500 gold ahead. They're taking out a tower up on the top side. I mean, this is getting out of hand fast.
This is where most teams in a scrim, they say, oh, the game is over. Like, we have to review this because so much went wrong in that first gank. You can see how G2 are moving on the map now. They're just picking constantly the lane where Emperor and Hybrid are playing and saying, let's walk in there with our top laner, let's catch our fly.
Gonna have to flash it up, but he takes half a culling to the face now. G2 are gonna back out. No sense in over-pushing in the top when you've got one in the mid. So you see those two coaches on the screen. No emotions right there, but you gotta feel that right now, Youngbuck is definitely feeling a bit happier than Daylor.
Definitely. I think Daylor was looking at that engage up top and said that was basically it for our team right now in terms of how could we get back into the game. Now Fnatic really needs to start outplaying G2 to pull back from this 5k goal lead.
Yeah.
10 minutes in.
That is the largest goal lead that has been this split at 10 minutes. And it all stems from Fnatic. Part of it is the way that they just were starting out the game greedy before the lanes had even settled. Getting culled before you even see where your lane opponents are standing and then banking on being able to bluff them is such a greedy strategy, and G2 have exploited it so well.
And definitely not the first time we see Fnatic in this split be very greedy with how they want to play the lanes at level 1. Think back to the game against Unicorns of Love where Unicorns were hiding under the tower at level 1 with a very strong 2v2 lane. Fnatic walked straight into it and they got destroyed. And that would set them so far behind as well. We've seen this before. G2 are in full control. Follow Hybrid and Emperor. Place wards in the jungle they're at so you can just push down for these towers. Mid lane went down because Perk's getting early kills, and if there's a threat of you getting dove on the tower, you have to just leave the wave, and that allows Perks to take a free mid tower and nothing Febvin could do.
Yeah, it also relies pretty heavily on that jungle pressure. I mean, you look at these two junglers, Spirit has just not really been able to attribute the same level of effect that Trick has. And on this Rumble, early pickups, he was able to be where he needed to be just fast enough. Spirit didn't connect his spear up top. He's trying to make moves around the map, but he just hasn't had that same level of play, and you can see it shine through. G2 is making use of all their tools.
And at this point, Fnatic, they're trying to play aggressive, trying to get back into this game. Look at Perks already roaming, teleport deep in from behind from Kikis. No way to interrupt from Maokai. This is a long time coming, but Fnatic are almost definitely trapped at this point. Oh, Reckless, he's way up in this lane, surrounded by G2.
Spirit knows his time is very, very short on this earth, but Reckless, they turn it around to him, but meanwhile, Gamsu's in the back, the rest of the team. Reckless not quite going down yet. Febvin trying to disrupt in the middle, but the Cog is taken out. And Emperor, he's just barely not going to get out of this one. Spirit and Clyde way too low. That's a double kill over to the Ahri. And Spirit, he's going nowhere. Get back into the fight. Gamsu is all by himself right now. They may have lost 2 for it, but they're going to get a 12-minute ace just about.
Almost an ace here. Febvin does manage to sneak away.
Sneaky.
In the end, but the double TP from Fnatic meant we at least had a fight.
Yeah.
But still such a big goal difference. Kikis suddenly found himself way behind enemy lines, but he took care of 3 members, even stayed alive at the end. And G2 are just constantly looking for fights because, first of all, it's the way they like to play. Second of all, you want to just keep the pressure going against Fnatic. Do not give them time to scale up for Reckless or for Gamsu. Let's see the fight again here, Stress.
Yeah, I'm waiting, because you can see Lissandra with this teleport. It's the first time we're actually going to see that impact from the middle lane from Forbidden in this game. Even manages to get himself into a decent position in this fight. The Equalizer goes into the wall, so you're actually losing half of the actual, the radius of that ability. And from here, G2, they're trying to at least keep Emperor alive, and they're not quite sure what target to go from. You can see Perks and Kikis are a little bit umming and ahhing about who exactly they want to take down.
Yeah, we do see Fnatic, though, what they want to do with like Gamsu and Febvin, try and dive that back line and keep the carries busy for G2. Perks on Ahri, though, one of the reasons he also picked it as that last pick is he can dodge around that. he can dodge around it and start reaching Reckless. Kikis obviously should have used his ulti on Reckless, and then they could have probably popped him instantly.
Speaking of Reckless, he has been able to farm. Remember the massive gold deficit, or at least CS deficit he had? He's now ahead. That Cull has cashed in as well now. So he's had a lot of time and a lot of freedom. They need more from him. They need more time for him to get more items. He needs the Hurricane. He needs the second tier boots as well. The problem is there's nothing like a Soraka to continue healing in. Yes, you have Alistair, you've got Nidalee. Is it going to be enough?
Is it going to be enough indeed? Gamsu feels like his health bar is going to be, as the culling comes out, they will turn back away. And there's the equalizer being dodged out a bit. Perks is locked up for a second by Fnatic, and that'll only halt the push. But meanwhile, look at down bottom. Kikis is free pushing, and there's no response from Fnatic. Or from, yeah.
Yeah, from Fnatic. TP's all on top side. Trigger has not been hitting their best equalizers we've ever seen so far, but he's been doing other good stuff on this Rumble. The thing about Call still for me with Reckless is I feel like it's very selfish.
Yes.
In a way, because yes, okay, he might have been able to farm, but the rest of his team has not been able to farm that well or been able to force the fights they wanted to because everything went wrong up in that 2v2.
But at this point, the game has to become all about Reckless. Febiven isn't far enough ahead to carry. He doesn't have the damage to go through this magic resist that is on G2. So Reckless is really the last bastion for Fnatic. He needs to get strong enough to be able to fight, and then it's on Gamsu, it's on Klai to keep him alive. And that's a tough ask in these fights.
Well, from looking at that last fight, because Reckless is so far behind, in some way I actually do want to look at Febiven saying, if he's able to go in and trade 1-for-1, like pop Emperor, maybe Perks in a team fight, it's going to be super difficult because Perks has Abyssal Scepter, so he has enough MR, but he can do this. I feel like that's the way back for Fnatic, because Reckless will basically say, I need 30 minutes, guys. Can you give me 30 minutes? No, they can't.
That's true.
Febiven is the only guy who has any threat towards, G2. If he's able to get up good ultis in a fight, or pick G2 off if they start splitting up like Perks almost did here.
Well, we've known that Febiven has definitely had a little bit of trouble getting quite as much damage as he was known for last year. But on this Lissandra, he definitely has the utility to lock down and take out a target. The question is, can the rest of Fnatic even back him up long enough for him to secure that kill and maybe get out alive?
And the problem is, I think he can get one target almost certainly in these fights. Maybe he gets Perks, maybe he gets Emperor. From then, Trick is causing too many problems. Kikis has enough crowd control to start locking down team fights effectively. Keep in mind the Nautilus passive. Every auto on a new target will lock them in place for like 3/4 of a second. It does have a cooldown on it, but still, he can just walk around a fight, making people stand still, and from their G2 have enough damage to take the rest of the fight.
And that was their first pick for G2. The first rotation was the Nautilus, saying, we know what you're going to play. But everything we're going to pick right now is going to be very good at diving that. This is a good engagement from Febiven.
Oh, Emperor. Now Clyde's getting the double knockup. Hybrid and Trick are on the run as a teleport. Comes in for Gamsu here. Equalizer's down, but that won't stop him. And in he goes. Twisted advance. And Febiven, no, it's Gamsu, manages to take him out in a 2 for none. There we go. Fnatic starting to get back on track, but it's a long climb.
And even with the kills, G2 are still able to have pressure in other lanes because they've constantly been able to push down every single one. That's the issue when you fall so far behind. Yes, you might get a fight, but then suddenly mid lane has been pushed in and they can just walk in there and take your tower. Would have gone down anyway because it was fairly low, but this is the kind of engage we can see from Fnatic, and it's basically the only way back. Febiven diving in, one-shotting someone, rest of his team then try and get a big team fight.
Yeah, that is the kind of engage that they need, but again, it was G2 pushed up as well at the same time, not really on the same page when it comes to their map play around the entire map. Kikis didn't want to commit a teleport to that because it was already too late, so there was no real way of recuperating anything there. I'm interested, speaking of Kikis, as this goes on, we'll take another look. This is Emperor getting burst out. You're completely right about Febiven being able to take down one of those squishies. From here, Trick's just going to try and waste as much time as he can. The fact that Gamsu actually teleported there may work out in favor of G2 if they can get Kikis into a fight with the teleport later on.
And if you guys were looking at the minimap, you could see how G2 already had the mid lane pushed down. And again, you just play 1-3-1 when you're this far ahead. Not even to split push specifically, just to push minion waves. Because you never want to give Fnatic a chance to make a play where they won't lose something else on the map. You can always cross-map them if you get into a bad fight, like G2 just did before.
Yeah, with that second dragon secured by G2, they'll get a little bit more burn to take out those towers, but they've already got 5 to Fnatic's 1. And Fnatic have so many options to push towers, but they need to be able to push minion waves back in order to do it. The split push from Kick is continually annoying them in the bottom side. but at least they managed to counter, get some catches off.
And to that point, I wonder whether we'll see Kikis go later, either down the ZZ Rock or Banner route, because as we're looking for the engage, Peppermint is going to be a major source of wave clear. Hang on, his kick is in the bag.
Flang and Reckless is not going to be very healthy after that. He's able to walk away from all that pain, but still, G2 are looking to push forward. Coley perks in the front line as well, eats the spear, doesn't even care. Clyde goes in for a suicide mission, and Emperor picks him up. Everyone's blinking health bars, and G2 set their sights towards the Baron, but it's not up for another minute.
And we can just see what G2 wants to do with their comp again and again and again. Kick his TPs in, pops his ulti on Reckless. Perks can jump around the Maokai, around the Lissandra, unless Fnatic is able to target him at first. Because they actually do have the tools to lock him down. Maokai snare into a Lissandra ulti will lock Perks in place, but that stops them from diving Emperor in the back. So like this, it's so hard to pick the right target.
And again, the other thing from that team fight in action is the fact that Reckless, yes, he survived, but he was too low, even after both heals, to actually stand there and deal his damage, because he has to be just locked in place. You'll see this. Kikis instantly gets the ult down. Already Reckless has to move. Now the Equalizer has to move again. He can't stand here on 120 health.
But why did Gamsu not just instant snare Perks? Perks jumped in right next to him, and Gamsu was like walking around. He was looking back at Reckless and then looking at Perks. And then he snares the Nautilus. And Perks can then jump in, get Reckless even lower, and as you said, force him out of the fight. But we just see everything, Rumble ulti, Nautilus ulti, Ahri ulti, everything is on him.
And I think this is the consequence of having so many threats, is even the Nautilus, when Kog'Maw's on 100 health, Nautilus is a threat for that as well. So Gamsu's like, okay, who's right there? Who do I have to stop right now, otherwise he kills him? And there's too many people to stop getting onto Reckless for Gamsu actually to just be able to lock down one, and they're fine. Yes, Reckless got away, couldn't deal any damage though.
Yeah, well, you said earlier that he needs a little bit more time, about 30 minutes. He's getting a little bit, but not much, and he can't really do anything in these fights in the meantime. We've hit 20 minutes on the clock. Taking stock of where we are as the Baron just comes up. G2 immediately turns on it. They feel strong, they feel confident. Fnatic have to affect a response, and it's Gamsu that turns in, but he gets insta-charmed here, and he's trying to tank the line. He turns on to kick his twisted advance, but that'll only slow him down as Emperor gets another kill with the Coley. Clyde now is caught. They throw the Equalizer into the back. Spirit burning down, Reckless burning down. Perks trying to get a double kill, but he's knocked into the team. Still able to flash away. That's a pickup onto Spirit, and now Fnatic are starting to drop, and even Trick
got it.
Reckless is caught! Oh no! 3 for none, 4 for none. And now they can turn back to that Baron.
It was such a trap in the pick and ban phase. Fnatic also wanted that Alistar pick, but he can't really hard disengage a big fight. He would have needed something like a Janna or Morgana with the Black Shield. And G2, yes, it all started with that massive fight in top lane, but this also just the comp playing out correctly for him.
All right, Febby. Oh, teleport. Gamsu's back up.
And Febby has to be the hero here.
Yeah, but he got charmed. He can't
he
take
got
the claw, and now Perks is just going to outplay him here as Gamsu tries to come in. That Baron is smited down by Trick. No, not yet.
Baron took out Trick.
Still going on. Baron took out Trick, not the other way around. What? Down. Gamsu gets
Trick
the kill
died to Baron.
on the Emperor. Baron is mightier than Fnatic at the moment, but Gamsu is able to help turn this one around.
Was that just them not juggling properly? Was Trick in the back?
I think he was staying in the back of the Baron. His body's dying there. The spike probably took him out in the end.
Yeah, they have a
Kikis will die
chance.
too.
Yeah, Kikis not able to do anything, and the rest of the team is already backing away. Perks is trying to turn around, gets the charm onto Gamsu, but that'll only prolong what appears to be the inevitable, taking the tower. Gamsu gets the kill. And mistakes from G2 communication, we heard about it before.
And now what else can Fnatic get? Mid tower is surely gonna go down. Reckless is in the bottom lane. There's no TP or anyone alive to defend that one. This can be 2 towers, 3 kills for Fnatic as well. They are still very far behind, but this was honestly the best they could ever hope for.
Yeah, you can't bank on it even happening realistically, but everything here is just slowing down G2, and again, Fnatic have got to play for a later game here. There is no way that they can look to end this game out anytime soon, but all of these small little things, and this one's a pretty big one, to be honest, with the Baron, are all adding up here.
Yeah, so the reason G2 starts the Baron first in 20 minutes is just to force a team fight.
Yeah.
They just want Fnatic to walk in and stop it, kill the first target. That's Gamsu. This is great. We start cleaning up here. Fly can't really do a whole lot. Perks jumping in, and it's a good fight. They return to the Baron then, and we are still very early in the game. Baron does deal a lot of damage.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to G2 being a fairly young team, fairly new together despite their run in Challenger with 3 of these members. We've seen some of that hubris come out, some of the disrespect, and you can also not disrespect the map. Baron is an angry opponent.
I just want to see Trick dying here. He's so low, he sees the engagement, he walks behind.
Oh, and then more
spikes.
people are behind. Oh.
And spikes.
Oh, that's painful.
Yeah, it looked painful. Now they have no smite, and you pretty much know the rest of this story. Gamsu is a big angry tree.
But credit to Vibivin there. He drew Perks down, which removed some of the damage, and the fact that G2 were ever so close to getting it meant that Trick was just trying to like bank on holding on. It's only a little bit of damage that was lacking there, but I mean, it's enough. It was enough to actually stop that. So Vibivin once again being able to keep the team in. QSS on the side of Emperor is going to slow Vibivin's attempts at doing that, but there are still enough vulnerable targets here.
So curiously, that massive early game effort that G2 had that put Fnatic, what, 5K behind at 10, it turned into still 5K ahead at 24, but we'll see if that's about to change. As Gamsu is going in hybrid, is trying to do the same on the other side, but Perks going around, see if he can get the kill, manages to pick him up. It's actually Emperor that gets it. Trick going way too low, Reckless in the front line, and he almost gets popped, but they turn it around. The Frozen Tomb picking up the kill on the Kikis. That is a triple kill, and the Kog'Maw has come online.
It looked very, very scary there for a second. Rick is just standing still, but that's what you want to do on this champion. Just stand there and hammer away. The way Fnatic are peeling for the AD carry is not by sitting and holding his hand. They're diving in on G2, they're locking them down with Alistar, with Lissandra, with the Maokai, trying to delay them from ever getting too reckless. This fight, it worked for them.
And the reason it worked is that G2 couldn't flank. They didn't come in with a teleport from Kikis, they tried to head-on engage, and when you're running a composition that has the likes of a Nautilus who wants to land a hook, or a Charm from Perks, you need to come in the side onto a vulnerable target. Fnatic didn't give them that opportunity.
And now Reckless is like 1,700 gold from that fight. They stop potentially, 5 dragons building up, whatever, to get the first one. That's good for them. But yeah, Kikis and the rest of G2 getting a little bit greedy with the engage. Still, a lot of things can happen for them. Perks didn't even manage to reach the backline either. But you just see the instant reaction for Gamsu. Fly and everything is just... We gotta go for that backline of G2. We gotta lock down some of these carries and stop them from ever walking through us to Reckless, because he's gonna be standing still and killing people.
In that last fight, Reckless did 6k out of the 10k total damage that Fnatic did right there, just in that short burst where he was able to auto-attack multiple targets with that Hurricane.
Oh, Reckless is too rapid.
He's too far away.
Febiven's got TP, but he's not using it just yet. Now 3 members of Fnatic. Gamsu is isolated from the side of them as Emperor is just poking him down, throws the culling. Here comes the Baron, though. It's at half health. Teleport.
It's been a lazy setup for G2 to kid. No what's it might get Reckless.
Yeah, Reckless a little bit low. He's out of the fight for the time being, but Perks took a little bit of return damage, and now the Kog'Maw's pew-pewing in the back line. Hybrid trying to hold the front. Gamsu going in. It still is so close, but Cly, he's got no unbreakable will on. Just throws it down, and Perks manages to take him out. Gamsu having to flash the wall. G2 still ahead and showing it.
Kikis still has his ult and flash. If Reckless picks the wrong way back here, they can engage, but they pull back for Baron.
So 2 very important things here. G2 instant started the Baron without putting any deep wards in the jungle to spot Fnatic coming in. So they didn't know if they could fully commit to Baron or disengage. But the other big thing is, Reckless was doing Raptors and he walked in late and got caught out. Let's see the fight from before. Gamsu is getting pulled in, he dives into the backline, Clive follows, Vibivin follows, they're all locking down these targets and stopping them from reaching Reckless. That's why he can deal so much damage and he doesn't go down and Fnatic can win the fight. This is the great scenario for Fnatic, but it's very difficult to get this one. And then the next one where Reckless walks in late, Perks catches him out, then he's too low to deal damage.
I feel like Trick's Rumble ults are not quite hitting the mark just because he's trying to use them very early on in the fight. As soon as the first crowd control hits the Kog'Maw, then layer it on top, because you force him to move. There's no way that misses if you put it on top of a lockdown target, whereas Trick is trying to fire it off to get the slow and then zone away. I feel like it would be more efficient in this setup if you can save it. The problem is that head-on engage doesn't really allow you to.
And we just see G2, despite getting so far ahead in the early game, in a, honestly, scenario where they should almost never be able to have a close game, they have been very reckless with the engages.
They have been.
They have been. That was a gun for Reckless in the engages, but
they weren't able to do it.
The way they dive in the mid lane here, the way they now just start Baron without 0 setup, no vision being put up, they're getting way too greedy with their plays, and they need someone right now for this team to saying, everyone calm down.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we need to do here? How do we set up the next Baron so we get that open team fight? We use everything we have to dive Reckless because that's what our comp is doing, and then execute it.
I feel like they're playing as if Fnatic are continuing to be greedy. Fnatic have shored up one of the issues they had last week. 3 blue trinkets means you never can start that Baron against them without taking a fight first. They will be able to check that every single time. So G2 have to go through the steps. They have to make the motions to make these plays work.
Yeah, they can't put a toe out of line either. I mean, we've seen Fevivin really start to step up on this Lissandra, being able to choose the targets, get the executions off, or even get in and just kind of save himself to set these fights up. We'll see if they can keep doing that as G2 still playing around this Baron.
And why is G2 currently sitting with a pink ward down on the bottom side in a bush near the tier 1 tower of themselves? 29 minutes in, no pink wards in the inventory, when they're the team who's trying to create flanks and picks. It makes it a lot easier for Fnatic to stall the game and put up their own wards and safely walk in and now clear away ping. Thank you very much. G2 at the moment are losing the entire control because they're not thinking.
There's a reason it's still down there, Deficio. It belongs to Emperor, and he doesn't have the inventory space to buy a new pink ward.
Fine, that's okay.
No,
then.
I'm just saying that...
You could have moved it earlier, though.
That's fair. I'm just saying that there is a reason for it, but it does also show the difference. Is they are playing on 4 pink wards now. They've even got a Doran's ring now on perks. He can't buy one, so they're down to 3.
You better sell that ring.
Sell that, man.
Well, I'm just saying, they're down to 3 now, and it means that... Oh, look, Kikis, he's got Corrupting Potion. They're down to 2. Slowly, you start running out of vision control.
Yeah. You got some useless items instead.
There's just these compounding little mistakes and not respecting Fnatic's damage, not respecting Fnatic's counter engage, and Reckless, learning those lessons of the lane phase. Now, Fnatic, they look to be marching a little bit more together, trying to force the line on the top side and say, you can't split on us. We're able to push back. We're able to fight. We have double TP. We dare you to come and engage on us.
And the fact of the matter is, we're into dangerous territory for G2 now because Reckless is well and truly online. Not opting for the Sterix gauge, is in fact opting towards the Blade of the Ruin King. I feel like Sterix is a better option once you pair it with the Maw of Malmortius. When both of them proc, it's just like, well, good luck ever killing me. I've got, this extra tankiness, I've got this extra lifesteal, spellvamp, everything ties into it.
QSS.
But he's getting the Blade of the Ruin King, gets the lifesteal, gets the active as well, so you can move around quicker.
I think the key thing is the lifesteal, because he's gonna get poked down by the Rumble ulti, by the ulti from Kikis in almost every single fight. And what we have seen a few times is when G2 gets some damage onto him, they kind of force him out of the fight. He's never able to then stand and just deal DPS. So getting that lifesteal is going to be so key for him to then sustain himself and be able to rejoin fights after the first engage happened for G2, and also helps him taking down Kikis.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Kog'Maw's good enough already. You pair it with the Blade of the Ruin King, suddenly tanks aren't so much of a problem anymore. They just kind of melt in front of you.
But like right now, Youngbuck is sitting backstage in his notebook, the coach for G2, and he's just writing pink wards in capital letters. Trick went back and bought a potion instead of a pink ward.
Now,
Emperor didn't buy one, has a spot now.
This would be Dragon number 3, that movement speed boost as they block the Italy Spear. Fnatic couldn't quite stop that from happening, but they will keep their presence known in the mid side. See if G2 can force them away from this one. It's going to be close. Kikis really wants something here, but he might be getting caught. Boosted advance, they take out half his health bar just like that, and that is the Nautilus ulti. Spent on Reckless, but no one was able to follow up.
And that's a lot used for G2. That's the main engage, because Kikis has not been able to get any flank wards, because Fnatic has had control of the map in terms of division for the last many minutes. And that again comes down to the item for G2.
Yeah, there's the flash. They're going to get another knockup on a hybrid, but a massive, not quite as effective as I thought it was going to be old from Trick. And Reckless takes out hybrid. One big shot from the sky.
We have to remember it's a Rumble in the jungle. He doesn't get the same amount of farm as a top lane pick. He doesn't have a Void Staff yet. And there is some MR now being built on the side of Fnatic. Lockhart, more than Mortis. There's enough for Rick to survive. And Kikis, he's going to go down as well.
Gets himself right in the middle. Isn't even able to connect the anchor as Fevivin takes him out. Spirit took some damage, but he backs away into the back. And now Emperor throws down the culling. Fnatic turn away from this, but they have a 2-man advantage for the next 30 seconds.
And this is got to be really frustrating for G2 right now. This game really turned around pretty much on a mistake from G2. Dying to that Baron, they weren't able to stay alive. Yes, Fnatic did pressure them out in front of it, but this game should have been a done deal for Gamers 2. For the amount of lead they had coming out of that 10-minute mark. 6k gold. And now Fnatic are right back into this game.
It's going down so fast, but Trick, if he can pull the hero move, he's got Flash, he's got his smite. Clyde trying to tank, but he's gone down. Emperor picks him up, it goes in, but it's smited away by Spirit, says not today. And now 2 members from G2 are down to 1 of Fnatic still. Kick is not quite up yet, and they're trying to make plays happen. Teleport as he comes back off of cooldown. Fevivin charmed up, trying to make his escape. Reckless, he's caught, has to flash. Emperor in the back line, they look to Spirit now. Should be able to take him out, and he's melted through. Emperor with the kill credit for that one. Fnatic, they need to escape with their lives. They need to escape with the Baron buff, but Emperor gets one before falling. Reckless is caught, he shut him down, but he's still gonna get shut down himself. And now, it's all on Gamsu. What can he do? Perks flashes away. Gamsu can't do much. They need to peel the bark off the tree, and they can't quite do it.
If they needed to try and take him down here, because the important thing is Fnatic still have Baron on 1 member, and they want to group. They don't need it in any more lanes than one, because G2 aren't able to play the side lane game on this. They don't have anything like a Z0 up portal on Kickers. They don't have an extra teleport on the mid lane to play on 3 waves.
Expecting a lot though from the full tank Nautilus,
Yeah,
and then the support trying to be like, why don't you kill Gamsu late game? The Rex had to flash for the passive.
I'm not saying he should have.
Why don't you kill him?
All I'm saying is that could come back to be the key thing.
I definitely agree with you.
To be fair, they tried to kill him, and then when they realized they did negative damage, they were just
healing,
like,
he was healing
all right, forget about it.
passive.
Let's just go back to base.
Done. We don't want to keep chasing this guy.
I mean, G2 definitely made a good effort to peel off the Baron buff from most of these members, but it is so important that Gamsu retained it.
Yeah, let's see here. This is the chase where G2 comes in after this Baron has been taken from Fnatic. Emperor playing super aggressive, and now they get enough damage onto Reckless to take him down. Perks is very low though, so he has to flash over to avoid the passive. And then just with the ability spam of a Nautilus and a Trundle support, Gamsu is getting enough HP back.
Holy, that HP.
He got the Spirit Visage.
I'll take a look at the Kog'Maw as he finally starts to work towards that Sterix. I don't know if would have saved his life earlier, but also...
It's the wit's end that I'm interested in. I thought it was going to play to the Rune King.
Stacking more MR.
Recurve, yeah.
And attack speed too. I mean, he's with the Hurricane, those bolts are just flying right now. But for Fnatic, the more important thing is they're able to start pushing towards the mid. They've got waves at least neutral right now. And G2 are going to have to hold the base.
And Reckless right now is on 140 MR as an AD carry. And also Wit's End is a good item for him because obviously on the on-hit effects where he's going to spam it away. So no life steal.
He's also going to steal that MR. He's going to take it.
Just steal everything.
Well, he's
steal the game from
He's
G2.
clearly not as worried about Perks or Trick, or rather, he's not worried about Emperor. He says, yeah, he won't do enough damage to me. That's cool. He wasn't been able to try and get those flanks off. He's been pulling.
I mean, that's the whole thing about Fnatic's comp is Emperor should never be able to hit Reckless. You have like Alistar, you have Maokai and that going in.
Yeah, Clyde, they're throw down the equalizer and it makes them Fnatic back off. Kick is trying to get Reckless down, but Clyde just keeps tanking the tower. Kick is going low, not quite. No, he's gone down. Reckless able to take him out, but now have they pushed too far? 4 members of Fnatic. Clyde is bleeding out. Hybrid flashes, gets the traffic cone, and they turn it right around again. But Fevivin charmed up and taken out. Trick meanwhile falls. So does Hybrid. A triple kill. The Kog'Maw is running wild.
The ace for Fnatic, it looked to have maybe been too much, too quick to engage, but G2 did not have their single target locked down for Reckless, and he makes them pay, turns this game around. A greedy start for Fnatic is about to turn into a win.
We have seen this a few times today. When you don't have your engage to lock him down, and you walk towards him, he will kill you. Reckless just did it. He got to late game. I can't believe Fnatic actually came back in this game.
They did indeed. 37 minutes. It wasn't the cleanest start. It wasn't a pretty picture, but Fnatic, with Reckless in tow, have managed to pew-pew their way to a victory. 37 minutes over the league leaders. Not anymore. Welcome back, Fnatic.
This game goes as an example.
Some serious resolve.
Well, an example of how strong a late game Kog'Maw is.
That's it.
Just how strong that is.
1, 2, 3.
Wow.
I'm just super surprised Fnatic came back in the game. I'm also very disappointed in the way G2 played mid to early late game. Completely abandoning vision control, no pink wards, taking super aggressive engages where they couldn't really get to Reckless, disrespecting the damage he can deal. The thing about this pick is if you do not have the CC to lock it down and then burst it, it will just start destroying you because he needs like just a few seconds to take down 3 members with the Hurricane and all those items with on-hit effects. And G2 disrespected that quite a few times and just disrespected how to play out the map.
They will have to take a long, hard look at how they lost that game and shore up the issues that they have had and realize they do need to respect these teams. But for now, Daler and Fnatic can breathe a hefty sigh of relief. They won that game with a gold deficit, by the way. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
They managed to pick up a win.
They were
1,000 gold down.
5k gold at 10 minutes.
And it stayed that way forever.
Like, that's insane. You are so far down, you needed to scale up on your AD carry. Your tank top lane couldn't do anything because he was too far behind. It was basically only Febiven who was like in the game for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it actually was. It's so surprising. Like, Febiven managed to hold Fnatic through that while G2 were making misplays and then Reckless. He ends the game 9-5-4. At one point was 0-3. Was so far behind on CS, was given time to farm. He got his itemization. 3 items, they start fighting. G2 stop with the vision control and just start going for Baron.
Trick bought a potion 30 minutes into the game when he went back instead of a pink
Gonna
ward.
haunt your dreams forever, isn't it, Deficio?
He bought a potion.
I mean,
of a ward, yeah.
I guess they were thinking, man, we've got 3 sweeper trinkets. It'll be fine. We don't need pink wards from here.
Well played by Fnatic, though, getting back in the game. We saw how they wanted to play these late-game team fights. Big front line, you know, the Maokai, Alistar, and everything to protect Reckless. And when the damage kind of ran out, because he could also stack so much magic resistance against, you know, Ahri, Rumble, Nautilus even, it just made him so hard to kill. And he could stay healthy enough despite not having any lifesteal.
Well, and it was just so ridiculous, the amount of auto attacks and procs and everything he was able to kind of lay out consistently. I mean, that late game cog just still gets me every single time.
It is a very